Also new tonight, it's the end of an era in our local ag community. If you have farmed in the QCA over the last few decades, chances are you have run into our next guest. For almost 30 years, Deanne Bloomberg worked at the Boone, Henry, and Rock Island County Farm Bureaus, and then about 7 years ago, she became Director of Issue Management at the statewide Illinois Farm Bureau. Now, after almost 4 decades of agricultural work, she's retiring, and she's joining us right here in studio. Deanne, thank you for being here.
Oh, it's weird reading. It's in decades.
Seriously.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So why is now the time to retire?
You know, so I'll have 35 years with Illinois Farm Bureau on January 21st. I remember it well. I think I joked, I'm like, maybe I'll even bring out my 2-piece, it was either red or navy blue suit with pleats, huge shoulder pads.
Do you still have it?
I haven't found it yet. I think I may have said, let it go. But yeah, I just was like, you know what, it is time, because I was lucky to get that job. I would tell them, I'm like, thanks for letting me sit at the big kids table. In 2018, and home office had said, okay, we'll let you work here 3 days a week. So from our home in Orion down to there, it's like door to door about 114, 15 miles, but you throw I-74 construction in there, you know?
It becomes about 400 miles, it feels like.
It does. So it's time.
Yeah, it's time to come back closer to home.
Yes, very much so.
And you have been in the trenches, I should say, with all of these farmers around our area. And I gotta ask, you've worked on the statewide level now, you've worked with national people. What makes farmers in the QCA stand out to you?
You know, I go back to just wonderful generations of family farms. Eastern Iowa, Western Illinois, just being able to help them tell the rest of the local, the state, regional, national, international, what agriculture means, farming means to them, and how much it is a part of the success of this community, is how I look at it. So, yeah.
And I know it's gotta be hard to walk away from that.
I think, here's what I say, I have a great team at Illinois Farm Bureau. There are a lot of great young people coming online. I mean, when I look at little Haley Bickelhoff.
I know.
And some of the other young ladies that have come into, and men and women that are standing out and for agriculture, there's just so much talent out there that I'm totally optimistic about the future. So I'm ready, but I'll always be around, right? But I also, you know, I go back to the 80s, I'm a kid of the farm crisis.
Yeah.
Graduating from DeWitt in 1986, going to Iowa State, and all I wanted is for farmers to feel like they could talk to the news media, but then also for the external communities to understand what farming provides, if that.
Yeah, because if you're not a part of it, if you didn't grow up in it, it can seem so foreign.
And, you know, I didn't have a journalism degree. I went to Iowa State, got a degree in public service and administration, but always had this little, like, oh, maybe someday, right? You know, I'd be the little FFA kid that would be saying, why is that TV show depicting farming this way? We need to do it this way, you know, like maybe I'd be able to consult on that level. No. But I think in some small way that I just hope that I've been able to raise the bar and help people, you know, feel confident and competent. That's really what I was trying to do all these years.
And how have you seen farming change over the last 30, 40 years?
Yeah, so when you know, I think I was just talking to someone the other day when I look at how it has evolved and how it's changed. I mean, obviously it's in cycles. That's no doubt about it. And watching how we've added value added into the markets and watched some really down times create some big opportunities. And I would have to say there's some rural communities that have bounced back, because I remember being that girl in 1986 and we couldn't go downtown DeWitt to buy shoes or anything because those stores had just started to dry up. Into the 90s. And so when you see some of these small communities that have seen this rebirth and this development, I like to think that agriculture and farming have played a huge role in that. In fact, I'll probably say, yeah, they did.
Yeah. And when you look at farming itself, when I think of how the technology has changed, I mean, the one big one that comes to mind right now is drones.
You know, it was during COVID. And clearly remember, I think I did an interview with Angie and Katz for Good Morning Quad Cities. But then I rode with my husband's cousin that April planting. And it was one of those cases to where I was like, so how long does it take to plant this field of 240 some acres as opposed to when his grandpa had it in the 1930s, 40s, you know? So yeah, we've made tremendous advancements, and technology has played a huge role in that.
So as you work with these farmers about how their own lives and their own industry is changing and how they can coordinate that and communicate that to the media and to the rest of the world, what are some misconceptions that you hear?
Yeah, you know, I think there's a lot of misconceptions when I mean, we used to say we were 2 and 3 generations, and I think now, as you've told me, decades that I've, you know, it's opened up doors, but it's asked for more questions, and that's why in our social media, that is in my purview, is that we've really looked at that authentic transparency piece and being able to and there's a ton of young people out there that are able to explain what goes on the farm. And one of the things I did when I started this role was cataloging all of the issues that people have questions about. And making sure that we had all the basic information on all of those so we could speak confidently about it. So the misconceptions is always, you know, family farm. You know, is it still in the family? And it is still in the family. It may not be farmed by that owner, but it's being farmed by someone that's involved in the family or someone local in the community. And so I think too many times we do get caught up in saying it's this either or when it's really and or. So that's what this job has also taught me, is just, you know, we've seen tremendous extremes on one side to the other side, and trying to find that middle ground is what I've also tried to do, is to try and bring more people to the table to have those conversations, because we can never stop talking. So
where do you see the future of farming going from here?
I am very optimistic. I do believe there's always going to be challenges. There will always be challenges. I like to look back at history and take a look at some of the things that our delegates have discussed on the, whether it's at annual meeting in Chicago for Illinois Farm Bureau or at AFBF. The issues continue to grow. I think, I do believe that next really key piece is getting that farm passed to the next generation. That's where I want to make sure that people understand that it's an extreme investment to get into farming. Your family up in South Dakota. I mean, I have nieces and nephews that are doing some form of agriculture, but having that ownership in the land and the equipment, access to markets, I think that they're going to have to do some new, unique things to be able to help that next generation be able to keep it in the family. And that's what I always say to people that are wanting to know, like, well, what's my ground worth? You know, I used to get those calls at the County Farm Bureau. And I'm like, I mean, there's no, like, as I remembered, they are, you know, that price is changing. It's all based on soil types and everything. There's just so many things that go into that. And I think that's the biggest thing that people, I want people to understand is it's all different types and choices, and that's what we've been able to do, and we have been able to cater to our consumers, not only here, but globally.
And so that brings us to our last question of what's next for you on this new journey?
I am not gonna quit working, right? I think my husband would be like, okay, you need to keep just yourself busy. And I know that there'll be more time for family, as well as community projects, helping out, kind of being in the background. But yeah, I'll have a new role in a while, and it won't be in agriculture, so.
And we're not reviving ag in the classroom.
And we're not an Agony AM or whatever that Ketsy and Sharp and Eric Sorensen tried, having me, whether it was
Right.
making lipsticks.
Oh, I remember.
Chapstick.
I was watching one today, the cranberry drop.
Yeah, that was not one of my better. That was not one of my better.
I thought it was entertaining.
segments.
But no matter what you do, we know you're going to thrive. I really appreciate the partner you've been to our station over the years and your time today. Thank you so much.
I have to say thank you to 3003 Park 16th Street, because had it not been, we go back to Adopt an Acre in circa 1993 and working with all of the people, everyone, the photogs, Wheezy, Joe Casillas, and all of them, they taught me more.
Yeah.
Jenny Hipskin, Andy McKay, I can go on and on, Mertens. But I'm just really lucky because I needed that, right? And I think that's also a lesson to any of the young people out there is, you need to rely on others to learn more. And that's what I hope I did in my role.
Well, Deanne, I think you did.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for being here
Thanks
with us
for having
today.
me, Shelby.
And for you guys at home, if you want to share Deanne's story, you can find our online version of this up at WQAD.com. Just click on the As Seen on TV tab at the top of the homepage.